Welcome back, Draconians and Vikings, to part 2 of episode 1 of our revised Valheim build series, where we are building the Riverwood Blacksmith shop from Skyrim. And in part 1, we went ahead and we built the structure of this. So if you haven't seen that, I suggest you go take a look at it, because there's a lot of important little tips in there on how we're going to get this thing done. This is all about decoration, finishing touches, and getting this thing buttoned up. I'm probably not going to go ahead and show you everything that I do, because, well, placing a table doesn't seem very hard. So, but if I'm doing something interesting or different with materials, then I will certainly be showing that off. We're going to start here in the forge by getting our kilns and smelters and hearth set up, and so we can start getting that laid out. So let's jump right into it. Alright guys, I am squeezing this kiln in as close as I can. I'm actually focusing on the stone floor, like way over here, which is why I laid out so much stone. But I don't want the kiln poking out through the wood on either side. I do have it positioned the direction I wanted, which is pointing this direction toward where the smelters would be, versus a 45-degree angle, which would be pointing this direction. So, and we are just going to squeeze this in just like that. All right, so kiln's in place. Now let's come take a look at it. As you can see, we have it squeezed as far into this corner as possible. Now I want to go ahead and set the hearth. And so we are going to be setting the hearth that snaps to a lot of places, but we're going to free float this by holding down the shift key. And I kind of want to push this thing so that the burn box, you know, the spot where the embers are, is just outside the kiln. So if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the burn box, you will see that it's just outside of the kiln. And I'm now looking underneath the rail over there, and I'm pulling back just a little bit. Again, I'm trying to create as much floor space in here as possible. So if we come out here and look, so we can see that our kiln is set perfectly inside the rails, but not sticking out past them. So it's all going to be one cohesive unit. I'm going to go ahead and leave this floor out here right now, because I'm going to want that space open in just a little bit. But the next thing we want to do is set up our smelter. Smelter, I'm setting at a 45-degree angle from this corner. And if we line it up right here, right where these beams are meeting, this should, and because it's at a 45-degree angle, put the other corner right here. And now I'm going to put in the blast furnace. Blast furnace, the stone part is going to go on the right-hand side. It's going to go all the way up against that rail. And I'm ignoring the little outcropping stone that's right by my left foot. I'm going for the long part, and I'm matching it up right with the edge of the floor. Tuck that back right in like that. And that should give us just enough space over here on the other side to get in between and access everything that we want to do. So let's go ahead and lay in the floors for that, and then we'll move on. All right, guys. So here I replaced the piece of flooring that was underneath there. The hearth is setting on that piece of stone flooring over there. But I'm gonna grab just a little 1x1 little block, and I'm gonna push against that stone floor, and I'm gonna bring it down maybe a third of the way. Okay. just a little bit like maybe right there. Okay. And what this is for the bellows, because the bellows are typically associated with a large forge, and we are simulating the hearth is a large forge. So now I'm looking down on that block that we just put in, and it's lowering the bellows down. As you can see, bellows are right above the hearth now. Now, ultimately, you'd probably want to back that up just a little bit. There we go. There we go. So now it's not in the burn box, it's just right next to it so that we could fan those flames. As you can see, dropping the bellows by a third. If you look down here, that's a third of its overall height in that leg is now all the way down at that level. So it's going to just make it look like it's a little bit more built for the right thing. Because that height is actually built closer to what this table would be. But that little itty bitty little tiny, that's not a little forge hearth. That's a forge hearth right there. So, yep, now we'll go ahead and set up our workbench and all the other things that go along with the workbench. All right, guys, so I got the workbench all set up and I threw down some extra tool racks, and we'll be doing decorating later on. But I went ahead and blew out this section of the walls, and this is for a very specific purpose, and which we'll be discussing in just a little bit, but I want to get ready for it. So I'm holding down the shift click so that this beam does not snap anywhere. I just want to manually place it right over the top of the other one that's already there. I just want that extra gap. And then we're going to grab some shutters and throw our shutters in here. And then for this top piece, we're actually going to grab a half wall, and we're not going to snap it into place. We're actually going to manually slide it up as high as we can get it. We're just kind of looking to fill that gap there a little bit. There we go. All right, guys. So here we are, and we are going to be putting the hearth in here. Let me get rid of these. I set it up, but then I realized I probably wanted to explain it to you. So basically, I took out the 2 blocks that were here underneath where the hearth was going to go, because we want to lower them down just a little bit. So I'm going to go into the building menu, grab the half wall, snap it right there, and then we are going to grab the 2x2 stone floor, and we are going to make sure that we're lined up with this stone over here, but we're using that half wall as a backer, and we want to go down about a third, kind of what we did with the bellows out in the forge area. Maybe just a hair more, and you can play with this and figure out exactly how you want it for you, but that seems to be about the right height that I'm looking for. So if I grab my hearth, now you notice the hearth will snap right in here, but we're going to free place this. I want to push the firebox back a little bit, and I essentially want to bring it out to about, I think I want to bring it out. Let's see if I can point it out for you. See this board here? This first board, right? So not half the floor, but a quarter of the floor. So right there is where I want the front edge of the hearth. So again, holding down the shift key, I'm gonna bring it just so I don't see the end of that last board. And I want to make sure that I'm centered in the hole like that. So if we did it right, and we come out here and take a look around, it should not be sticking through the wall. And it is. So we need to go back in and bring it out just a little bit more. We don't want that sticking through the wall. So what we'll do is we'll line up with the half. Okay, let's collect our materials. We're gonna zoom back in here. Okay, and we're gonna line up with the half floor. So over here, we're lining, oh my God. We're lining up halfway through this board, because we just don't want it sticking out is the problem. Again, centering it between the open floors there, halfway through. And there we go. And basically all we're doing is we're doing it so that the hearth isn't sitting up as the same height as the floor. We'll get a little bit of hearth, but not all of it. See, where 2/3 of it is going to be sticking below the floor. And since it's resting on those 2x2 stone floors back there, we never have to worry about it falling in. And if we got our height right, which I'm not saying that we did, because I am capable of screwing things up. So as you can see, the floor is sticking through just a little bit. Now, of course, you don't even notice it right here. You don't notice that the floor, you wouldn't notice it until you got right on top of it. And one of the things that we can do to kind of mitigate that is we're going to grab the cage floor 2x2, and we're holding down the shift key again, and we're literally going to kind of float this in here, just so that it takes the view off of. And now this one will snap right in. Actually, we need to move this one a little bit further this way. There we go. Put it right on the edge. This one will snap into place. And because the hearth is so big, it won't go out with these cage floors right over the top of it like that. So now we have like a nice little grill there. We're not done, because of course you could do the small cooking station like these. You could do this right over the top. What we're going to do is we're going to go for the iron cooking station, but we're going to offset it a little bit. It'll fit perfectly right inside here. And if I put this down, I have part of it sticking out of the wall right here. We don't want that. So we're actually going to scoot it over. We'll wait for the materials to clear out. And as you can see I'm looking at the left-hand side. So over here, and we want those legs to just kind of disappear right into the wall like that. I mean, they're literally right there. See, so just just that far, and we're gonna push it back just a little bit. So it's just on the back half. Right, that's all we need. Now when we come over here, much less noticeable, we can hang something here on the wall to cover that. And we have a, oh, look at that. Maybe Draco wasn't so crazy after all when he put in those crazy angled pieces when he was doing the build. Yeah, that's why we did that, to hide the big, huge end of this thing. Like this much of it, all of this is sticking out that other side now. So by putting in those angled wall pieces right there, and soon you won't even notice those. And this works perfectly. As you can see, iron cooking station, it prompts very easily. And we still have room to put in our cauldron. So we're gonna put our cauldron right here on the edge of the fire. We're gonna bring it out. So just the two front legs are like just coming through the wood right there. Right, we just wanna catch the very corner of that hearth. Okay, and if you look right here, you can see that those two, and we're going to put a mantle up here so you won't even see the top of the cauldron poking out like that. And the cauldron fully works. See, there's the cauldron, there's the cooking station. You can get to both very, very easily with this, and you don't have to worry about it. And, well, you don't want to catch yourself on fire. That's no good. So let's make sure that we repair everything. There we go. Okay, so that is it for like the hearth area. Again, we're going to put a mantelpiece up there. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. We're gonna do something very simple. We're gonna grab the half floors, and we're gonna turn it so that the seam is running that way, okay? And we're actually going to snap it right at the top of that beam. Line it up so that it's half the wall, okay? So there's our mantle. Now I want to take it one step further. If you've got yourself enough iron to do a wood iron beam, go ahead and grab one of those. We are going to do a shift click, and we're pushing back as far as we can. And I actually want to line it up just on the inside of this wall. Like that. So it's right there, perfectly lined up with that. And we can do the same thing on this side. Line up with this wall. And it's sticking out slightly, so let's fix it. There we go. Now they line up perfectly. Now you've added some depth. We still have room to put some stuff up here. I would typically put stuff on the mantle instead of on the wall behind the mantle, but if you did something small, you could do something even that high up, and we'll see what I can figure out to hang there. Matter of fact, we may throw something there and something there. And then if we come and look up here, we can go ahead and put some stuff up here. And you may want to bring it closer to the front. There we go. All right, now we're starting to get some light in here. We can start taking some of these torches down. All right, guys, so I went ahead and took out the floor underneath the angle piece there because we are going to snap the oven directly onto that, like that. And it puts it at the same spot as the hearth. Everything works out fantastic. And the oven doesn't actually generate enough smoke to cause any issues. So if it did, you could always break out the wall between the hearth and this little cubby area back here, and just make it all one big chimney, and that would work. All right, guys, so I've put down the butcher block so I can get a height measurement. Now I'm using the stove as a backstop, or the oven as a backstop. I could use this wall as well. Basically, I'm just trying to lower this floor so that it'll be just below the top of the butcher's table. Okay. And now we're going to use the butcher's table as a guide, and we're going to put down let's see, which way are we facing here? Okay. Because you can't put any equipment stands on the butcher's block. See, it turns red. But we can put it on this table here, right? And then we'll aim one like right here in the middle. Right? So now we will destroy the butcher's block table and rebuild it underneath. And now we will have, if we pull this just forward, position it. There we go. Now we have access to these item stands that we can put meat and stuff on. We'll talk about that when we're decorating, but there's a way to kind of incorporate the butcher's table into something greater. You could even go so far as to grab some shutters, right? And we could put a shutter here and a shutter here, poking out, not that you'll ever notice. So now the butcher's block or butcher's table is fully incorporated into that, and it looks like an actual cabinet. All right, guys, let's talk about storage. We're going to be putting like a wall of storage in here. It's going to be more storage than you'll ever need. Of course, I'm using the reinforced chest. You can use the regular chest. I would suggest, use what you can, right? And maybe you don't fill up the entire area yet. You just use the regular chest until you can build enough of the reinforced chest to just go hog wild. 3 layers of a reinforced chest. It's a ton of chests. You're talking about 2, 4, 6 times 4. So 24 reinforced chests. This area is going to be for something else in a minute, but we want to make sure that we're making the most. This is a very tight space. I use this space in my live stream, and it's a tight space. So we want to make the absolute most of it. Again, we want our small floors. That's what we're going to be using here, with the seam running this way, just like I have it right now. Okay. And we're going to float this so that the left side of the floor lines up perfectly with the wall joint. And we're going to put it just above the chest like that. Just like that. Okay. Then we can snap this one into place, and we can just keep on going down the line. Okay. The problem is if we snap another full piece, it now sticks way out here, because this floor, notice this floor doesn't stick out as far as this does, right? Because this floor is underneath this wall. This wall is sitting on top of this floor. This floor is on the edge of the wall, so it sticks out even further. So we have to compensate for this. It's very easy. It's not, trust me, it's not hard at all, okay? And so what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna do it out here, because working in that corner is just a pain in the butt. So we're gonna grab a full wall piece, and we're just gonna snap it into place. Now we're gonna use this as our backer with another small wall, rotate it around so our seams are running correctly, holding down the shift key, and basically I wanna line up with this edge, and I wanna float it on top. But we're using this wall as the backer. And so we're just gonna barely bring it up so it lines up just like that. And that is all we need. Now we can bring this all the way down here. And as long as we focus on the previous floor as our backer, it works perfectly. Put that there. Just like that. So now we can put the rest of our chest down here, and then we'll talk about doing our second and third layer. In actuality, what we'll do, since we'll take these out for right now, and we are going to use, well, let's put our chest on first. Okay, so we're gonna grab our chest, and what I'm doing with these chests is I'm bringing them right to the edge of whatever floor piece they're on, and I'm bringing it so that it lines up halfway between the wall. Each chest is halfway. With the small floors, it makes it really easy because we can see it right there up front. And then this one would go right there. Okay, so it's gonna create a little bit of a gap, and we can do the same thing down here. We brought this one right to the edge of the floor and then did the same thing here. So we get that little bit of a gap. So if you wanted to put like, make it look like shelves, right? You could certainly put it in like that so that it would look like it's being held up by something else other than just kind of floating there in space. I prefer it like this, and we're gonna do some more for it in just a second, but let's go ahead and do this third wall, or the third story of our, and we can half wall, full wall, whatever we want to do. Okay, so again, we're gonna grab our half wall piece, or half floor piece, make sure our seam is correct, and we're gonna float this just above. And if you can't get there, find you some elevation, bring it right above that chest, just like that, and line it up right with the seam of that wall. It's lucky because it's green, so it's glowing. Okay, so that's perfect right there. And then we do the same thing over here, holding down the shift key, and change our elevation until we line up perfectly with the previous one, just like that. Bam. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. We don't need it no more. Maybe hop up here. Get these pieces into place. And there we go. And no, they don't stick out. That's the wall. So now we can put 3 layers of reinforced chests in here. I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of this out, and then we'll talk about what we're going to be doing next. All right, guys, I am upstairs and I want to do something because this is just a big, huge open space. So we're going to do a couple different things up here. But one of the things that I want to do is make like a canopy bed. So I've dropped one of the nice black wood rails, and I am going to, I've centered the bed. I'm looking at the footboard, and there's a line right in the middle. So I know that I'm lined up. I'm going to scoot this back just so now I'm looking at the headboard more like where the legs come down for the headboard. And I want it to just be outside the beam on both sides. Like that. Okay. So some of the headboard is sticking, most of the headboard is actually sticking in the beam, but we'll still get the little dragon heads poking out the top. The things that look like baseball bats is kind of weird to me. So we will see about fixing that. And we have this nubbin sticking through from the forge side. So we are going to fix that, and I am going to grab the 4-meter beams, and we're literally just going to snap them here, like so. And then we will bring one across the top. There we go. And since this is our abode, we're going to do black banners And I want the banners to kind of float toward the very front of the beam, and we should be able to get 3 of them all the way across if we do this right. So we set it back just a hair, like that. Okay, and then we'll bring this one. So where there's just a slight, like a hint of gap between them, and then we should be able to do one last one over here. Let's take a look. See, much better. Don't see the nubbin? Yep, perfect. Okay, so now we're actually going to bring this out, and we're going to use these 4 meter beams here. We're trying to just take up some of this space. There's a lot of room up here. Okay, and then we're going to grab another meter beam down here and snap that in place. And then we're actually going to hold down the shift key, and we're going to snap this thing like so. And then we're going to do it again. There we go. So you can't really see the thing at all. And we're going to grab more of our black banners and kind of get these things in position here. There we go. Of course, you can do this with any banners that you wish. And then we do one just right here as well. We don't even close the whole thing, but I just give that sense of privacy. The old blacksmith that lives here, his wife died a long time ago, and now he's stuck in Valheim. So he just wants a little privacy, damn it. So now we're going to grab some stools, and these stools should fit right in there. Actually, we can get rid of, not leave that being there. Stool will fit there, and then over here, push it as far back as we can, and then we'll throw some item stands on here so that we can do a little bit of decoration later on. And we still have a ton of space up here. So we are going to, I don't know. We're going to do some stuff up here. I do want to do something on this wall as well, just because it's a big blank wall. So let us, since we have out the item stands, we're going to line up right here, and we're just going to click an item stand right to the wall. Okay. And now I'm only doing this because I'm in creative mode. You probably wouldn't want to do this in a regular survival build, simply because it would take you forever to get the materials that we're going to use here. Don't drift too far off the center. But this is one of those gratuitous YouTube builder things that we do, where we do set wholly unrealistic expectations on our viewers to make sure that they're cursing us as they try to recreate something in survival mode that we did in creative mode. All right, I'm just going to do all that. I would also go across here, and then, yeah, I would do the whole thing, but it's just going to be, nah, we're not doing that. Okay, so basically, let us come over here, and okay. All right. Right, and then this would go there. And then here. And then it'll come across. And we're just making a little art school project. So, but I will show you the rest of that after I am done decorating. So it'll be a little bit of a surprise. So stick around for the end, and you'll know when you see it, oh my God, yeah, that's what he did. All right. So I'll catch you guys in just a second. We are not the first Viking to be sent to Valheim. There were many before us. Some left their mark on stone throughout the world. Others still may be around. Let us go find the blacksmith of Riverwood. So there you have it. That is my completed Riverwood Blacksmith build here in Valheim. And man, this thing has been a blast. There is so much storage around this house. It is ridiculous. You could easily run this as a multiplayer, 2 or 3 people in this place. There's certainly enough personal storage around. You could add extra beds upstairs, modify it just a little bit. If you have any questions about anything that I've done, please hit me up down in the comment section below. I would love to hear about you. One of the questions I'm sure I am going to get is about the arrows. Okay. And I will actually leave the arrows down in the description below. And all you have to do is copy and paste. That's it. I got them off a website that has all the different stuff, the different hex codes and stuff like that for every letter and symbol and everything. But literally at the end of the day, I literally just copied the arrows and then I save them on my clipboard. So, and as far as the white signs, that is just a mod that unlocks the font in the Unity engine. So, and it defaults, that mod just defaults all the fonts on the signs to white instead of black. It's a ton easier to read. But I did put torches in here because if you don't have this, those upper rows are really, really hard to read. And then you might need to do like signs on the floor and everything going up. So this sign would point to this box, this sign would point to this box, this sign would point to that box. And then you just use up arrows instead. So yeah, we got all of our fermenters there, a crap ton, so much storage. It is so ridiculous. And as you can see, the hearth is still burning with the grate over the top of it. This is the butcher block, and there is a floor around it. And I did talk about that earlier, and then I filled it out with a bunch of different stuff, just so that you guys can see how that would work. And the shutters do work. I mean, there's nothing underneath there, but they add a nice touch. And then, of course, out here, going back to accessing the metals. So after you process them and they become ingots, then you could store them with all the rest of your storage. It's all in one place, but you have very easy access when you need to make something at the forge or on the workbench. You have access to all of your ingots, which are the heavy things anyway. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be doing a lot more building in Valheim. It is great to be back into the build mode. And yeah, until next time, you take care of yourselves out there. This is Draco Invictus saying this has been the greatest day in my life. See ya.